Hello everybody, my name is Andrew Casey, and this is a Newbie tag because this channel is Hypersanity Books for kids. I have taken the background away because I'd like to operate this channel a lot differently. The thumbnails and different subject matters books will be touching on will all appear in the background. The idea is to have it a bit more child friendly. I have another channel where I have been in booktube for 3 years, on and off. It's more targeted for adults. I do case studies and other book reviews, writing tips and advice. Some of the content is a lot more complicated for an adult audience, and some things are just not supposed to be talked about for children. So within this channel, it is designed for children under the age of 12. Otherwise, there's doors are open for older audiences to follow this channel. If you have desires to write some children's books, this might be the channel for you. If you do enjoy reading, this may be the channel for you. That's why I've created this channel as well, because I have had a lot of children reach out through my other channel and some parental guidance as well, with children reaching out to ask on writing tips and book recommendations and reviews. And I just need to keep certain content separate between what's for adults and what's for children. Question 2. What can I bring to booktube? Well, there are certain networks of other child authors that I have contact with who have written books, or other authors that have written for a younger audience. I think there is a way of networking and building a community that will be a good transition from children's books into a young adult fiction and adult books. So I think with this channel being aimed for 12 and under and touching on some different genres and different types of books, I think there is a certain content is that there will be a good place to start. Also some writing tips and suggestions to think about, because sometimes children think that something is so much more complicated, but when you break it down into some other videos that I'll be touching on, like with R.L. Stine's work, it's not as overwhelming as what you think to publish a book. And I think there are a lot of young authors out there that need a connection to network. Question 3. Where do you like reading? I like reading at home, primarily on my couch, whether it be an e-book on my mobile phone or a paperback. I just like the comfort of home. It's a nice environment that we made. I also have other places at home, such as the egg chair. Then there is a nice patio we have. It's a good spot. This is a photo of it at night. I love the ambience that we have created in the home we have. We have 2 lounge rooms in the house, and we have 2 spare bedrooms. Sometimes I have also made it comfortable in one of the spare bedrooms and fallen asleep. It's that sort of like as if it's a hotel feeling when you have a nice home. Also, there are other points I don't mind reading in certain public places as well, though I like to read no more than 5,000 words at a time. It's just taking in the atmosphere of another environment, as to what some of the photos show. There is a lot of locations that can work. It just depends on what your limit is. So yeah, normally with reading no more than 5,000 words elsewhere, at home I could read an entire book in one sitting. It all depends on the atmosphere. Question 4. Why do you like reading? I could answer that in a multiplex type of answer. However, I think the best way to answer this one is to keep it to the Hypersanity Books for kids level and talk about when I was possibly your age at age 10, I was heavily into Goosebumps. From there, I would read any book and you'd form your imagination around the book and imagine yourself within the story, especially with the Choose Your Own Adventure books. When reading the book, that's one of the things with the human mind, is the infinite potential of your imagination. However, watching the TV series challenged that reality, and then each episode made it pointless to read the book. And I don't like that. I found it took away from reading by having the TV show. Therefore, I prefer to see a book with a cover and then form the imagination around it. So think about that with some of the books that you read. Allow your imagination to have infinite potential across the ages. Question 5. What book series got you into reading? I sort of already answered that with Goosebumps. However, to be counterintuitive to what I've just said, I found Animorphs was a good series of books. I enjoyed reading every single one, though I haven't read the final book within the series, because each book you follow one of the 6 characters as the protagonist. Then with the final book, it goes between characters as a final resolution and wrap up of the series. I haven't read that one. I also know I just pointed out with Goosebumps my gripe about how the TV show takes you away from reading. I didn't feel that with Animorphs. I also found the theme song was catchy years ago. In its own way, I've outgrown this part of my childhood, although I still cherish that I had a childhood, and I got to enjoy reading this book series and enjoying the TV show, even though you grow up and you outgrow things. I would also say within beginning to read, it was Goosebumps and Animorphs which was my gateway to reading. Question 6. Favourite genre to read? Well, a lot of people actually that I know in the real world think that I'm into superhero and fantasy stories. I'm more into urban fantasy, which is our world mixed with fantasy elements. So you can say Harry Potter is from our world, and there is a grey area to say that it's urban fantasy because of the high fantasy elements within the story. I don't feel it has an urban fantasy feel, however, because it doesn't have enough elements of our world in there. That's where I wrote Dark Sparrow. Now, Dark Sparrow is for 15 years and older, just saying as a discretion. Within this channel, we are looking at publishing a book as a spin-off from this story, which will be 10 short stories, which will be a mix of urban fantasy and science fiction. I like the challenge of science fiction because science fiction challenges big ideas, and the Flash is one of my favourite characters, that's why I wear the shirt. I love the series and how it challenges on big ideas. So with Dark Sparrow, it is our world and the fantasy world, and as you can see in the back, the other character is facing off against someone in a metal suit, which is the science fiction element, so it's our world, not necessarily magic versus science fiction. So I like to keep things a bit more evenly balanced on the playing field to circumstances. Harry Potter, however, they have the terminology of muggles and people with magic, and there's that vast gap between people. I don't like that. There are a lot of urban fantasy stories I have read where someone has a lot of physical abilities and no magic, but they still stand off against someone with magic. It's an even playing field. There are so many urban fantasy stories that I have read that I do enjoy. I like our world, and I like the elements of the fantasy world. I also like science fiction to challenge big ideas. Therefore, most of the books I will be writing are urban fantasy science fiction books. Question 7. Challenges for BookTube. I believe one of the big challenges is time. I have a lot of things on the go at the moment. Primarily, I am looking at building Hypersanity Books, and Hypersanity Books for Kids is a part of that business model. There is a lot of time and energy that needs to be put into everything that's being worked on, but we will find a way. Within this channel, I also believe there will be a lot of content that will be simple to understand, to show that even at a young age, you can become an author. I am working on a couple other channels, Hypersanity Animals. I'll leave a link at the end screen. It's just music videos with animals. It's another part of what we're doing within the community. I also am working on Hypersanity audiobooks, which is targeted for mature content of other books that we've published into audiobook form, focused on ChatGPT and just different ways on how you can focus on other ways of publishing. Otherwise, that's it for today. If you want to email me, please seek parental guidance if you're under the age of 18. The email is andrewcasey@hypersanitybooks.com. You can leave something in the comments. You can ask questions in the community posts. The channel is open to everyone, but primarily for Hypersanity Books for Kids. We want to keep the content for ages 12 and below. Otherwise, I will see you all next time.